Thanks, Riv. Now, true to how this week has been going, an exciting first game to start off today's series. And guys, we've got to answer that question about how CLG has come back from their boot camp. They looked like they were a little out of sorts there later in the game, not sure how to engage or, take a fight off of Curse.
Yeah, I don't know what Doublelift was doing in that last fight. He thought he'd be able to open on the Syndra, but Voyboy had much better ideas. Like a DFG Syndra is going to one-shot him. But I think as a general thing, CLG did look much improved, but it wasn't like they turned into a top 3 Korean team overnight.
Absolutely.
They're improved, but they're still CLG.
Well, and Voyboy had the confidence of having a Zillion behind him to build that DFG and be in the front line, not too afraid of getting jumped on, knowing he could come right back into the fight. Now, another thing I want to look at, though, is the Nidalee in the top lane and the build that he went with. I mean, that suggests that they were split push from the start. That was all they were going to focus on.
Right.
Is that right?
So Nidalee had a very weird build. She had Bloodthirster, Trinity Force, Frozen Mallet, Merc Scimitar. So that basically says she wanted to 1v1 and split push the entire day. I'm not sure if that's the best split pushing build. I don't play Nidalee, so I don't know about that. But she did a lot of damage and she is super strong. And they basically didn't want to fight and just have Nidalee deal with Lulu. And there's no way Lulu can beat Nidalee when Nidalee has those items. There's like nothing Lulu can do to that.
All right, now, if we look at the fact that they pulled out that AP Cog, now that's something that we've seen come in from the Korean region quite a bit. Do we feel like it paid off? Did Link have enough time to kind of work on that champion?
I mean, Hai and I were talking that the Kog'Maw was pretty good, but nothing spectacular. He never took over the game. But I think it's because CLG just had no way of following up on any poke that he did land. So if Link did manage to get a little bit of poke down, they could do something, but they couldn't because they actually, even when they had a 4v5, we had that one fight that Hai called way beforehand. It was 4v5. He said if CLG goes in here, they throw. And
so there were 2 major fights that game that basically showed that they didn't know how to play with the Kog'Maw. The first fight was at the mid inhibitor turret where they tried to backdoor it. The only way CLG wins a fight is if Kog'Maw pokes beforehand, but Curse was full HP under the turret, and they tried to force a 4v5, and that's not going to work. Kog'Maw didn't get to do any poke before that fight, and they lost that fight because they initiated before he got poke off. The second fight was the very end of the game, where Twitch initiated the fight, and if you look at the health bars of Curse, every member's full HP, Kog'Maw's full mana, and you don't want to force a fight like that. 1, Twitch will die when he opens up. 2, Kog'Maw hasn't done anything yet. So they wanted to fight because they're afraid of Nidalee, but they haven't got any poke off yet, and they had to wait for Kog'Maw to do something. The fact that he didn't just basically made him lose the fight. If you look at the end of the fight, he has like 90% mana, and that's not what an AP Kog'Maw wants.
I thought it was a really interesting game, too, because we kept talking about how it was a big split push threat in Nidalee, and how was CLG going to deal with it. A lot of it was with Twitch. There wasn't necessarily, as Hai was saying, the best vision control to prevent the Twitch from sneaking up on Quas, which is why this game stretched on and on. But CLG never had a true answer for the Curse split push, and eventually it allowed Curse to win the game.
Well, I feel like the Twitch was a fairly good answer to the Nidalee, having that assassination potential. The problem lied in not being able to convert anything off of the assassination. So does that mean they need to look towards a more engaged style jungler or something like that, so once they do deal with the split push, they can actually take an objective?
Yeah, so every time they would kill Nidalee, right, what did they get after that? They got killed, but they sent 3-4 people to go up there and kill him. Also around the map, Curse wasn't doing that much when Nidalee died, to be fair. But when you sacrifice a lot of resources to do that, you're not really getting that much of an advantage if you're not able to press on with it. So it's just when you get a kill on Nidalee, what did they try to do after? They couldn't do much. Because as you saw, they got the kill on Nidalee top. They tried to push mid. They died for that. So even though they could catch out Nidalee, what can they get after that? And they couldn't get that much off of it.
All right, I want to jump into a replay here. Hai, you already kind of touched on it a bit. We're at 39 minutes into the game. It's under the inhib turret where Curse manages to snag an ace. If you could, go ahead and walk us through this and just kind of elaborate on the point you were making earlier.
Right, so they caught Nidalee earlier, and she has 20 seconds to revive. They're trying to tank a turret 4v5, and they can't do this. Just because everyone on Curse right now is full HP. In the case Curse didn't have Zillion, that may have worked out, but Doublelift and Seraph die instantly in that team fight, and they can't. They just can't do this. They haven't poked them down with Kog'Maw yet, and they're trying to do the thing they can't do. And they just didn't understand how to play against Zillion and how to play with Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and that was another one of those situations where, although they got the hook onto Syndra, because of the Zillion ult, he got his ultimate off onto Twitch, as you said, but still came back up and is at the end of the fight here, putting out damage.
X Special had incredibly clutch Zillion ults that whole time. Hai had said they go in if they throw, and I think unless they can catch Syndra. They caught Syndra, but it didn't matter. Hai was right the whole time because they just Zillion ulted it. He killed the person for basically a Zillion ult, And then because there was so much focused when they hooked Voyboy, they forgot about Cop on the side, who ended up killing Doublelift. So it was just a really good fight, 4v5.
If it was any support other than Zillion right there, I think CLG would have won the game right there just for catching the Syndra. But since Zillion is there, he was like, what, level 16? Had all, like,
yeah.
He's scaled as best as he could be by now. So Zillion saved the game right there and made CLG lose. I don't know how many times CLG has played against Zillion. I imagine they would, since it's pretty popular in Korea, but they just didn't respect the Zillion ultimate. They sacrificed all the resources in killing one person. He just revives, and you lost a team fight because of that.
Yeah, it's pretty popular in Korea, both as a support and as a mid laner. So I would feel like they've had a fair amount of practice against it.
Especially if we look at the rest of their picks right there. The AP Kog'Maw, even the Twitch as an AD carry is something that is still massively popular in Korea, but not necessarily over in North America. And it did throw Curse for a bit of a loop, but they've clearly been practicing a lot of stuff of their own, too. The Nidalee is something we haven't seen Kwasan much, and Xpecial broke out the Zillion. Like, they prepared just as well back here as Korea did, as CLG did over in Korea.
All right, well, now, a final question before we close out the segment. Looking ahead, both teams are actually going to be on the same side next game, right? So we're still going to have CLG on red and Curse on blue. How can we see picks bans evolve from CLG's side to maybe turn it around?
I think as far as picks and bans go, if I remember correctly, they were kind of odd in the first place. They were kind of just doing target bans against each player. I don't know if CLG will ban Zillion or not, since it was an issue that game. They might ban Nidalee too, since there's not really a clear response to what you can do against Nidalee. Like if you pick Maokai, Maokai loses lane. Any champion you pick in Nidalee will lose lane, except for maybe Ryze. But Nidalee is such a dominant top lane champion at the moment that they probably might. I think they'll ban it. I don't think they'll let Nidalee go through again, just because they couldn't answer to it.
Well, with as exciting as all of the games have been, both this weekend and then this first game today, I, for one, can tell you that I am pumped for the next game. But we are going to have to take 3.5 to restock the store for our next battle between CLG and Curse. So don't go anywhere. The day's just getting started.